Hello and welcome back to the pinnacle of the European Championships 2018. We're here in the top four.
Yes, we are. This is the match that every player works towards this entire year. This is the most important duel that any European player will play in the whole season. You know, if you don't go to Worlds and you're not playing on the final stage for the first place, this is, for most people, the absolute pinnacle of dueling.
Yeah.
One of these players is going to Worlds. The other is not. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it really is. But what isn't as simple as that is our statistics. So these two players are obviously very skilled. We talked about Luke Parks last round, who was piloting Gouki. He has an 80% win rate. That's just baffling in terms of the actual skill level required to attain such a win rate. And then Nicolas Meyer here, who is also playing against him, is got a 66% win rate. That's still pretty high. However, he's made it this far.
He's having
that kind of win rate.
An amazing tournament run for him.
Yeah, absolutely. There seems to be something exciting going on in the crowd. Not that I know what that is.
There's an interesting token booth photo being taken, and that's all I'll say about that.
Okay. Tell us a bit about these deck lists, Matt. Are they pretty standard? Are they interesting? Are they, what's going on?
Yeah. Looking at Nicolas Meyer, his deck is not particularly anything off the wall, really. He's just playing a pretty standard Trickstar Sky Striker deck.
Okay.
He does have the 3 copies of Impermanence in his...
I was just going to say, those are in the main deck.
In the main deck. Other than that, nothing too out of the ordinary that you guys haven't already seen today.
Yeah.
Or yesterday. And also, Luke, we just saw him in the previous round with his Gouki deck.
Yeah.
He's done his combo 10,000 times. If you haven't got a hand trap, he's not going to mess it up.
That's a lot of times to have done the combo.
I'd question his exaggeration.
He said it himself. Matt, he said it himself. So, as for the matchup here, the specific matchup between Gouki and the Sky Striker Trickstar, it is favored 59.8% towards the Gouki player.
So about a 10% advantage to Luke Parks, plus the additional 14% of it. Well, you don't add percents that way, but he's got an 80% win ratio. He's got the deck advantage in theory, and this is based on 300 and how many games? Was that
301 games? Yeah, between these two decks.
So it's pretty solid statistic.
Yeah.
Luke is probably favored in this, and this could mean that Nicolas is the underdog for this story.
But I'm sure that Nicolas has played against many Gouki decks. I know for a fact he did play against one last round in the top 8 against Jake Quincy.
He sent him home.
Yeah, he sent him home.
He's going home.
He's going home.
All the credit to Jake. He had a great run. He put a lot of work into it, and he knew it was going to come down to either him sitting in this chair or, as we now see it, Nicolas.
Yeah. So our statistics, although they may be, statistics, it doesn't mean that's what's going to happen in this upcoming match.
The cards could come out in any way. We don't know yet.
Yeah, exactly. You have something else to talk about, Matt?
No, I was going to talk about the Noble Knight stuff, but it feels like that's a bad time. We can wait till after the match.
We can wait till later?
We could delay the match a little bit longer, or we could just talk about those later. It's
all
fine.
right, well, without further ado, Thomas Rose and Oliver Gurman, take it away.
Thank you, guys, and I hope you at home are ready. I'm not sure they really hyped it up. This is it. This is the most important match of the day. Nobody's going to care about the finals. This is it. This is going to be the deciding match. Who's going to go to the World Championship in Japan?
I'm excited, and I'm not even sat at the table.
Exactly. So Luke Parks, who we just saw take out Marcello Barberi, one of the Italian juggernaut, is going up against Nicolas Meyer from Germany. Bit of the underdog here, but he could be flying to Japan, and he will not care about statistics in this one. He's going to be like, I don't care if I have 70% or 5% win ratio. If I win this match, I'm going to fly to Japan, and this is all it comes down to.
Yeah, this is the last match that matters for these players today. The final is just for pride. Each of them is their final representative from their country in this top 4.
Yes.
So we've got a little UK versus Germany grudge match here.
We got ourselves a ball game. You just heard what it means. It's coming home. It means that English players are getting on a plane and flying back to England. This is hopefully what's going to happen in the top 4 match now with Nicolas Meyer going up against Luke Parks. Let's take you to the table and get our game on. All right. So here we have Luke on the left, Nicolas on the right. Luke is a little bit more familiar with sitting in the feature match area. He's just seen that. These other two guys, Matt and Luke, it's getting confusing. Everybody's got the same name in England for some reason. Matt and Luke from Konami, who just talked about statistics, told us that Gouki is the favorite going up against Trickstar. However, in the top 8 we had 4 Gouki decks, and now there's only 1 remaining. So the 2 Sky Striker Trickstar, or the Sky Striker Trickstar Mech Knight, or the Sky Striker Pure deck, those are the other 4 decks in the top 8. They overcame the Gouki decks, and that might show us that some players went with a version of Sky Striker Trickstar that is Gouki proof or something like that.
Yeah, we see Nicolas here has opened up with 2 copies of Called by the Grave, which could be pivotal for shutting down the first turn combos we'll see from Parks here. No big play on the opening turn for Nicolas, only Trickstar Licorice in his hand as the monster, so he'll be hoping that those Called by the Graves and the 1 copy of Infinite Impermanence, all 3 set to his side of the field, will be able to prevent Luke from making any real board.
Right. Luke starts with a chunk forward. He's it looks a little bit like he's playing around the reincarnation there with the set card, which is the living fossil.
So Luke here is going to be discarding a card for the effect of Aqua Dolphin, and I don't think he's going to be hitting anything from the hand for Nicolas Meyer. Luke doesn't know, of course, that the interaction he has to play through here is all set to the other side of the field, not actually in hand.
It's also a bit unusual. That's not what you usually see. So Luke Parks might be in a similar situation as something we saw earlier, where that was actually Jake Quincy, where Neospace and Aqua Dolphin still gave him a big advantage, that he knew that he doesn't have to play against any hand traps. It's quite the opposite here, because there's something waiting in the back row of Nicolas Meyer.
Parks, interestingly, opts to use the 2 monsters already on his field for this first Xyz summon. He could have gone with the Living Fossil to bring back a monster from the graveyard. One of the few ways to get the monster summoned by Living Fossil to not be banished is to use it for an Xyz summon, but instead he opts to go straight for this play. I think for certain here we're going to see activation of Called by the Grave, targeting the effect of Super X in the grave, and also quite likely that the Infinite Impermanence will be used for the on-field effects of Isolde.
So there we see the first Called by the Grave, and you mention it.
Will Nicolas use the Infinite Impermanence here, or will he hold out for the second effect of Isolde? It looks like he's only activating that 1 card in response to Luke Parks.
It certainly looks like it. Do you agree with the play?
I think, yes, certainly in the situation, that's got to be the correct play. It would be a bit greedy to activate the Infinite Impermanence here. That would be to assume that Luke would have no way to put a second warrior onto the board. Of course, if you take out the effect of... Oh!
Now he does.
Was that all in the same chain?
I'm not sure, because that looked like he was doing that when he was about to put the Called by the Grave to the graveyard.
So here Luke will be able to use that Living Fossil, summon out a second warrior. Isolde uses one of the 2 materials to make another copy of Isolde, and then he will be able to use that effect on the field to special summon the Octastretch from his deck.
The pressure is really on these 2 guys. We mentioned it. The winner flies to Tokyo. We cannot emphasize and stress this enough. This is more important than the finals for these guys. I've seen a couple of European Championships in my career, if you want to call it that, and the final is always the most relaxed game in the European Championship.
I think we've actually overlooked another piece of interaction for Nicolas. He has the 2nd copy of Called by the Grave set to his side of the field, and he'll be able to banish that junk forward in response to the activation of the Living Fossil.
It's got so much disruption, and it's coming from the back row, which is completely unheard of in this tournament. Normally it's always from the hand, and the Neospace and Aqua Dolphin even took a peek at the hand. Not quite what Luke Parks was expecting here.
So Luke here will want to activate the effect of his Isolde, sending the Phoenix Blade to the graveyard just in order to be able to keep it alive on the field for 1 more turn. If he doesn't, he knows that he'll lose it in the battle to the Licorice that he's already seen in Nicolas' hand.
Right. So that information could play a role here.
Yes, but in doing so, he's sacrificing the ability to ever summon a Gouki monster from his deck with the effect of Assault, because he won't have any equipped spells left to do so.
Tough decision.
Yeah, it's a tough decision, but one of the bad outcomes is even worse than the other, so he uses the effect of the Assault, pays the cost for no effect, just to get that 300 attack equip spell.
Right. That Phoenix Blade.
He will, of course, be able to connect for 1,900 damage here as well. A small reward for investing his last equip spell from deck in the play.
As you sometimes call it, that's not very important here. It's more like a side note, really.
Yeah, that's not the main aim that he was going for there. It's just a small bonus.
You had a nicer word for it in the past. I just can't recall it right now. It's going to come back to us eventually. No worries, no pressure.
The Droll and Lockbird is not what Nicolas wanted to draw there.
No, not at all. And generally speaking, Trickstars are not known to best super strong monsters on their own. They usually have to find ways around those monsters. And here, Nicolas doesn't have another way, so he just passes play again.
Luke doesn't have anything that he can do here.
Yeah, he's got 3 hand traps, which is kind of good news because he's got something on the field. Just goes in there again, and I think that's going to be it. It's just going to pass play again.
I don't quite understand how Nicolas is at 4,500 life here. I think there might have been some mistake with the life calculation. I would expect to see 4,200 life
Scapegoat
for
is
Nicolas.
a big difference maker here.
Yeah, that could be huge.
He's going to be taking another attack. That's very likely, and he's not going to mind that. Oh, he even actually tries to stem the bleeding with a Trickstar Licorice in face-down defense position.
Luke needs to draw a Gouki monster here, and he's found one.
Ooh, that's how you do it.
That could really turn things around. There is, of course, a Droll and Lockbird in hand for Nicolas Meyer. He may choose to use that to prevent a huge chain of Gouki effects coming off here, but just having the first one will still enable some new plays for Parks.
Yeah. The life points should be 4,200 for Nicolas. That will get corrected eventually. Not sure when exactly, but just for you guys at home, 4,200 is the correct life points at the moment.
Okay, so the Unicorn comes out. It will be interesting to see which card Parks chooses to return to the deck.
Goes for the monster, and I think that Nicolas Meyer is happy with that decision.
Yeah, if he targeted the Scapegoat, it would simply have been chained.
Of course, but he wants those 4 tokens, doesn't he?
I don't understand if it would have made much of a difference in this situation.
I think he's going to be forced to activate them anyway in the...
The Scapegoat will certainly be flipped up, and Parks doesn't really have much ability to deal with monsters, even if they get summoned before the end phase. So whatever happens, we were going to end with just 4 monsters on the field there.
Alright, so here's an attack. And Nicolas Meyer is taking it like a man.
I think this outcome actually ends up favoring Parks slightly with lower life points for Nicolas Meyer at the end of all things being resolved and fewer Trickstar cards left in play.
Alright, and here we see the Scapegoat, the big Scapegoat in the end phase. There's 1 custom token. The token just now, those custom tokens just now were the reason why Matt and Luke lost their composure for a second. I'm not sure who it was, which guys were it, but they had a very striking pose for their personal tokens. And I think they will be remembered for a very long time.
I worry that there's an element of one-upmanship involved in the token creation.
That would certainly be interesting, because that would be a competition on its own. And less people would be watching the finals if that was really going through. Okay. So, Nicolas Meyer trying to rebuild in the most literal sense of the word. Going for those link plays. Whereas
Nicolas just drew the Trickstar Licorice that was shuffled into the deck by Parks on the previous turn, which was certainly not what he would have been hoping to pick up there.
No, I would be surprised if that was it. But what about those hand traps? We got Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, as well as Droll and Lockbird. Luke Parks must be feeling quite good about this whole thing.
The Ash Blossom and the Joyous Spring might be quite useful. The Droll and Lockbird, much less so. because we can see from Nicolas that he doesn't have any search cards. He would have been playing them already if he'd drawn any.
Yeah.
Luke at this point is just praying that he can draw into another Gouki monster. He has that starter piece that he needs in the Super X, but it doesn't work properly unless you have another one monster to accompany with it.
And Nicolas Meyer is shaking his head. He doesn't seem all that happy here. But for the time being, he's got control over the board.
Yeah. Nicolas choosing just to swing in for 5,800 damage here.
And
close the gap a little bit.
do you think that was the optimal play from Nicolas Meyer here?
In a really simplified game state, just maximizing your damage output can be very strong. You need to shorten the game as much as possible and try and put yourself on top in that life point battle. If things get scrappy towards the end, small burn effects from the Trickstars could really come into play.
Okay. We saw some opinions on the chat that seemed like he was missing some opportunities here. Could have gone for something bigger, for something better. Either way, he's happy with...
Luke has drawn a very good card there in Terratop.
Ooh, that's a good top deck. That's a good top deck.
Does Nicolas have any hand traps left? I don't know.
No, he's completely out of cards in his hand. He's just forced to watch his cards on the field do the dirty work for him, which is Licorice and Topologic Bomber Dragon. So not that much interaction here. And even more, what's even worse for him, Luke Parks knows exactly the options that he has at the moment.
So yeah, even with the MX Saber Invoker used previously for Parks, he will still be able to special summon that Terratop and get himself 2 link materials alongside the Gouki Super X.
Luke Parks is calculating, basically. He's going through the motions in his head. And I think now we're going to see his play unfold.
I don't think Nicolas has any sort of interaction available to him here.
So he's at the mercy of Luke Parks, who's not known to go softly on you with his 82% win rate. I think he feels like this is his tournament and he's trying to get that ticket to Japan. So he's going to be waiting a little bit longer until he's coming home. He's first taking a little detour to Japan. But it's too early to tell. Lots and lots of things can still happen here.
We're still in game 1.
Still in game 1, absolutely. With almost 30 minutes on the clock.
I think Luke will want to normal summon that Gouki Super X and start getting his searches as quickly as possible, but it seems like he's going straight for link plays.
He is indeed. And Nicolas Meyer, just look at his face. He doesn't look very happy. He looks like, please stop doing what you're doing.
Goes directly for a link 3 there. This allows him to build his chain in such a way that he can protect from... I'm not sure if the way that he resolved his chain was the same way that he built it there, but with no cards in hand for Nicolas Meyer, it doesn't make a great deal of difference at this point.
Maybe it did it erroneously on purpose just to further demotivate his opponent. He's like, I know how to do this better, but in this moment I can do it anyway, in the worst version anyway. Alright, he keeps going.
And the summon of Phoenix there I think is enough attack points
that
to
seems
close
like
out the game.
Big field. We have 2,300 for Nicolas Meyer at the moment. I'm not 100% sure if that is correct.
Even if that is correct, Luke Parks has more attack than that on the field already.
Here are the attacks. Nicolas is doing the magic shuffle. And then he realizes that is it, and we're going to game 2 with Luke Parks taking the first victory. And he seems to have a couple of fans in the audience. Some people are actually sitting with their back towards the feature match, and now they're turning around. That can't be good for your back or your neck. But either way, you're going to see what's happening down here. And we got Luke Parks just one more duel away from punching the ticket to Japan.
Yeah, so as always, we go back to looking at the side decks. What are we expecting to come in for each player here? We think that Nicolas is likely to be choosing first, but in the previous match we were mistaken in thinking that Marcello would play first in game 2, and in fact, he told Luke to go first.
Yes, that is true. And we also had Marcello going first and then telling his opponent to go first because he didn't draw into anything.
No, I believe that in that game we were mistaken in our commentary.
You think so?
Yeah, I spoke to the players afterwards and I understand that Luke was the first to play in that match.
I'm confused because I thought that Marcello had that Luke was drawing a 6 card in his first turn. But I might be wrong. Either way, Nicolas Meyer probably going first. So not sure about that Winged Dragon of Ra. He's only got 1 copy in his side deck. That's kind of unique, especially considering that the matchup between Gouki and Trickstar Sky Striker should be in the favor of the Gouki players.
Yeah,
So
that may come back to bite him. We can see that when he first wrote out his deck list, he did have the full 3 copies of Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode in his side deck, but taking it down to just 1 with a last-minute scribbled addition, he swaps out his 3 Ghost Bell for 3 Ghost Ogre, and 2 of his Winged Dragons of Ra for 2, is that Heavy Storm Duster? My German is not great.
That is indeed Heavy Storm Duster.
Okay.
He is, however, playing 3 copies of Evenly Matched, a card that we only bring up in these discussions in between duels, because we say that we haven't seen it all weekend for the most part.
No, it's been really quite absent.
We've seen it one time, but dragged down into the grave, made sure that it wouldn't do anything.
The real dream-crushing drag down to the grave. That was such an exciting deck if it had its 1 copy of Evenly Matched out the board.
I'm still so angry at the player that I don't even remember his name. All right, we did look at the side deck of Luke Parks before in our previous feature match. However, that was a bit of a different story because that was a Gouki mirror match. Now he's going up against Sky Striker. Are any other cards going to be coming in here? I don't see Twin Twisters coming in.
The Twin Twisters are very likely to see play here.
They are?
Ghost Reaper will not. Ghost Ogre will not. Gadala, the Mystery Dust Kaiju, that will not come in. Red Reboot is another card that might come in here. We know that Trickstar Reincarnation can be a hugely powerful card, taking away key cards from the hand for the opposition of the Trickstar player. And also, Parks has seen that his opponent here is playing Infinite Impermanence, so having more outs to that card could be very powerful.
Okay. And also, I guess there are a couple of cards that he wants to take out, so it's somewhat easy to make the space here. Right. With that, Game 2. Luke Parks against Nicolas Meyer. If Luke Parks wins the second game, he is going to the World Championship. If Nicolas Meyer can force a 3rd game, and he's going first, so his chances aren't too bad, he's still in competition, and he's going to have all the momentum going into that 3rd game.
So we see here the only hand traps in either player's hand are for Nicolas Meyer. So not only will his turn 1 plays be resolving unimpeded, but also he will have the Drollen Lockbird in hand ready for when Luke Parks tries to hit back.
So many hand traps, and as you just pointed out, Luke doesn't really have anything to stop his opponent from going off.
Yeah, if I were to try and launch in early, I'd say that it looks like this will be forced to a Game 3.
That would be interesting for our viewers at home, of course, and the many, many viewers in the feature match area here, which is now taking up 1/4 of the entire location because so many players are watching this and feverishly watching these two guys.
Yeah, the only slight drawback for Nicolas here is that he doesn't have any access to the other side of the deck, that is the Trickstar cards.
Yes.
He's playing solely on the back of his
Sky Striker
engine.
Yep. All right, but the Sky Striker engine is not to be underestimated. We have seen that this weekend at this tournament and even at previous tournaments, mostly in the national season.
Even a top deck called by the Grave here won't be able to help Luke push through his plays because he's facing down 2 copies of Drollen Lockbird.
But so far, Luke Park seems relaxed enough. He's another one of those players that seem a little unfazed.
He'll be very happy with his opening hand. He's got 2 extenders in Junk Forward and Suprex, so he can start.
Now he's got a Marauding Captain on top of that.
Yeah, he's got lots of options for fielding multiple warriors right at the start here. But he doesn't know that he's about to get drolled and that he's going to have to wait another turn before really making any impact on the board.
So Luke does not start with reinforcement on the army. And that would also be pretty bad because that would set him up for the Drollen Lockbird combo.
Yeah, Luke will be saving that reinforcements of the army for later unless it's needed at the start.
He's not going to risk losing to a 2-card combo in the semifinals of a tournament where he's just 1 win away from his big goal here. All right, we see the MX Saber Invoker. Seen that card before.
This may bait out the Ash Blossom from Nicolas Meyer's hand here. And if he does, then no, instead the Widow Anchor being flipped up.
That works. That's an alternative. He doesn't get to take control because he doesn't have enough spell cards in his graveyard. However, he's now got 2 in his graveyard and he's setting himself up for some big plays, possible big plays in the next turn, if he gets to see a next turn, where he then could get the full power of the Sky Striker engine.
Yeah, so Parks launching into his backup plan, normal summon on the Suprex to special summon the Octastretch from his hand. It'll be interesting to see which monsters he chooses to link away here. He could use both of his Gouki monsters, position them at the arrow point of Shizuku, leaving the MX Saber Invoker in his extra monster zone. It'll be, if he reads the Drollen Lockbird in hand for his opponent, that will be the way that he can get the most value out of this first turn, because he gets 1 full chain of 3 searches at that point before the effect of Drollen Lockbird comes in to prevent any further searching.
Is that something that is obvious to see, or would you say that it takes a lot of experience or something to realize these interactions?
Well, Luke will have been playing against Sky Strikers all day, so he'll definitely be aware of that extra monster zone available to him. It looks like he's considering exactly that play here. Yes, he goes for the 2 Gouki monsters and puts it into that additional extra monster enabled zone, the linked zone to the Shizuku.
Well done to him. We can just quickly look up what he played against, because we didn't do that before. Played against the Rogue deck, against Sky Striker Trickstar, Gouki Mirror Match, Invoked Mech Knight, Pendulum Magician, Sky Striker Trickstar, Gem Knights, Gouki Mirror Match. That was against Jay Quincy. That was the first defeat for him, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that might well be correct. His mirror match against Jake Quincy in round 10.
Then he drew against Tom Feargoods in a Gouki mirror match. Won another 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 Gouki mirror match. I'm not. By the way, this is not like some system shutdown on my end.
He
went up against
7 Gouki mirror matches in a row.
Yeah, like all day he's only playing against Gouki. Yeah, the entire day too, he's only playing mirror matches and nothing else.
Until this point.
So he might as well have forgotten how to play against Sky Strikers Trickstar, who knows. That's quite something. An entire day where you only play against the same deck.
So here we see that Drollen Lockbird has come down, as we predicted, but Luke has really made the best of the situation there and got 3 searches in before the Drollen Lockbird is able to resolve.
Wow. That's definitely not bad. It's nice that he saw that immediately, or almost immediately. I'm not sure how fast he saw it, but as soon as you were done voicing that entire plan, that is a possibility. And of course, you don't under the same stress level as he is right now.
No, we have it easy sat here at the desk.
Yeah.
If we get it wrong, we can just say, "Oh yeah, no, the play that they made was better."
Yeah.
But
the worst thing that we have to deal with sometimes is people calling us out on Twitch and saying that we messed this up. And
but it doesn't matter. We can mess up every play, so long as the people at the table get it right.
Exactly. And so far, Toyn is a boss, because our table judge has been ruling this excellently this entire day. And yesterday, on top of that, with like only 1 break over the course of 2 days. So well done to him. All right. So things are shaping up nicely for Luke Parks. He's suddenly got a full hand together with 2 monsters on the field, despite being under the effect of some hand traps.
Yeah, and even with those hand traps in play, he chooses to play on, activating that Gouki rematch to try and build more of a board.
It's very interesting, and if you look at the face of Nicolas Meyer, he's not happy. He's definitely not happy. He's nervous. It's definitely one of the emotions going through him right now, with so many times that he's touching his face, because he's just like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. And he doesn't have a lot of hope right now. So
yeah.
he might need the Twitch chat to send some energy his way. That worked pretty well earlier when Marcello Barberi was asking for the same thing.
But I'm obviously supporting my friend here, Luke Parks. We've played a lot at home together, and I really want to see him do well.
That's all right. You don't need to be impartial, despite
That's
some
good.
despite some people claiming something different. As long as you're not bad mouthing a player, which I haven't experienced yet, we're all good. All right.
So it looks like Luke's going to be able to push quite a bit of damage this turn.
How is he pushing under a hand trap? That is so unusual.
So it seems like he's chosen to stop advancing his plays at that point, just leaving the Gouki monsters on the field there. And that will mean that whilst they can't resolve this turn, if Nicolas chooses to summon a board and start attacking, the destruction of those by battle will be able to resolve on the next turn.
All right. So Nicolas Meyer needs something and fast.
Yeah, this isn't the typical extra link builder fort that we used to, but it's still a little castle.
It is. It absolutely is. He's got engage.
This first engage will just be for the search, but the one that follows it up immediately thereafter will also pick up a draw as well, which may change the hand quite significantly.
Yes.
We still see, so far, there is no access for Nicolas Meyer to the Trickstar side of the deck, and he really needs to get there as quickly as he can.
And now with the Hornet drones, and he did draw into an infinite impermanence, that as well. So more disruption for him, but right at this very moment he doesn't need disruption. He needs some action to wipe his opponent's board as much as possible.
But with 2 copies of Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, each of them drawing a card as well as getting a search,
Yeah.
Nicolas is going to end up with both a very wide hand full of cards and also some new things arriving that might open up the other half of his deck.
And the other thing is, worth noting, Luke Parks has got nothing to stop any of the plays that Nicolas
no
Meyer is going
interaction
through.
this turn.
And while Nicolas Meyer is fairly certain that that is the case, because he knew that the other 2 cards that Luke Parks was holding on to didn't come down earlier, and he knows that Luke was searching for Gouki Headbutt.
Nicolas Meyer here just praying to find his way into that Candina or Light Stage or Terraforming, and then I think he might be able to launch straight into a Lilybell loop.
Ooh, I didn't even think of that. That's, of course, an option.
What's the monster in Nicolas' graveyard? Is that a... No, it's not any... He has no Trickstar cards yet.
No, so far he's only seen Sky Striker.
So perhaps not. He would need to find his way into both the Lilybell and the Candina to be able to make that play.
It sounds somewhat unlikely. And he's now summoning, for the first time we've seen this weekend, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit.
We see a Link 3 here. Typically that will be the Nightmare Unicorn coming out.
And again, Nicolas Meyer shaking his head. He doesn't seem very happy with this whole thing.
Does he have any targets left in his deck for that last engage? If he doesn't, then it must surely have been a mistake taking it.
He's got 1 Widow Anchor, 3 copies of Hornet Drones, and 1 copy of Afterburners.
I'm quite certain that he must have sided out his remaining cards, because had he not done so, he surely would have activated that last copy of Engage to search for one of those cards and take an additional draw. So maybe the side deck has really caused problems for him
Weakened his
here.
main deck here, yeah. So now he's left with Infinite Impermanence as well as Droll and Lockbird. And again, he's at the mercy of Luke Parks, and you don't want to find yourself at the mercy of a player with a win ratio of more than 80%. That's suicidal, my friend.
I think we're going to see Luke again beginning his turn with multiple Gouki triggers on the same chain to get a lot of effect activations off before that Droll and Lockbird can come down.
That would be crazy if somebody tells you that, hey, I was Droll and Lockbird twice in the same match, or in the same duel. In the same game. And
consecutive turns.
And I got to search for like 5 or 6 cards or something. The person you're telling the story to is gone. Oh, called by the Grave.
By the Grave. I think this is over for Luke.
This might be the all-deciding card. We see Called by the Grave, and of course, big reaction from the crowd. This puts the pressure even more on Nicolas Meyer than before.
We know, of course, that there is 1 Infinite Impermanence remaining as a last bastion of hope for Nicolas Meyer, but that Droll and Lockbird is not going to be doing anything here.
So, Luke Parks, he might have this. The UK players are excited about this. They're going to be sending 2 people to Worlds. This would be the first time ever for the UK, a country that is developing so nicely in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! With the second most players from the UK coming to this event this weekend to make it helping to make it the largest European championship ever.
So here we see another 3 searches potentially off an assault. Oh no, instead we go straight for the Nightmare Phoenix. He fears the effect of that face down card. Just taking 2 searches.
And Luke is going through the motions. Maybe that was a bit of a nervous move here, but I think he's still got this. I still think he knows what's happening.
This is going to be the end of the line for Nicolas here. He'll activate his Droll Lockbird in response to the resolution of this chain. Cooled by the Grave will come slamming down straight away, and that's going to be game over.
That could happen. We're not here to fortune tell sometimes. We're here to call the match, my friend. So let's see. Nicolas Meyer, he's not feeling great about this. Certainly not after the crowd was giving a big response to that draw by Luke Parks.
Parks doesn't even want to negate the draw.
He's finding a different way to victory, possibly. Nicolas Meyer completely stripped of all options.
That's enough damage for game.
Enough damage on the board. Here are the attacks. Nicolas Meyer is just...
And Luke Parks is going to the World Championships.
And Nicolas Meyer again is writing down the life points. Maybe he's waiting for his opponent to miss an attack, to just say, yeah, 2 attacks is enough. I'm going to be a gentleman. I'm going to be a good sport here. But
2 attacks and the effect of Gouki Twist Cobra.
But either way, Luke Parks is pointing it out to him. He's like, yes, I am going to attack with all 3. Yes, that is enough damage. And now we got it. And there's a roar going through the crowd. We see not just players from the UK, but from actually all over Europe, like Dutch guys and Belgian guys. Everybody jumping up and giving a big standing ovation, or at least half of these guys giving a big standing ovation to Luke Parks, who definitely deserves to go to the World Championship.
Yeah, our first World Championship competitor from this 2018 WCQ. Congratulations.
Yeah, history is being made this weekend, not just the largest ever European Championship of all time. 1,624 players showed up. Prior to this round, we left with only 4 players remaining, so these guys were better than 1,600 other players. Now we're down to just 2. Both of these guys will feel like a winner no matter what happens in the finals, because both of these guys are going to be representing Team Europe in Japan at the World Championship. Congratulations to Luke Parks. I think that is all from us for the time being. We're going to head over to Luke and Matt, and they're going to celebrate their countryman from the UK. So let's hear it from the analysts.
Thank you very much, Ollie and Thomas. Celebrating our countryman, as Ollie put it.
That was a great game. We did manage to see Luke Parks taking it in 2 games.
Yeah,
running him down.
Absolutely amazing. Didn't even need the call by the grave.
No, it's just so confident. It's like, no, I've got this. I've got just a Twist Cobra Super X, and I've got way more damage than you have life points.
Yeah.
Locking himself in for the World Championships in Tokyo.
Yeah, I mean...
no, you're good, man. You're good. He's just asking, do I need to come on against that? We just had you.
We just had you, no. I think it's best to give him some chance to prepare for the finals. However much we've been downplaying over the weekend, it's still the most kind of prestigious title that you can hold within Europe, apart from being the world champion.
You want it because it guarantees you a feature match first round next year.
Yeah, that's another good point.
And ultimately, you want to be the best player in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Just getting to the World Championships is the big prize that the players worry about. But once you get there, it's like, I actually won the title. I've come this far. Yeah. Why on earth would I not push all the way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of the players will be taking a few deep breaths to prepare for this final matchup. In all honesty, I've seen a lot of the finals be, some of the best games because both of the players are much calmer. It's kind of...
Yeah, when the edge is taken off, you're not like accidentally knocking your graveyard, and you're not worried about, what if I make this play, what if I make that play? But still, it's a huge game, and it'll be super interesting to see if Luke Parks is able to take it all the way home.
Yeah. What's interesting is that we do have 2 different decks in the finals. We do. Yeah, we have Gouki versus the Trickstar Sky Striker deck.
So the 2 main decks have made it into the finals. We're not going to see a repeat of the UK National Championships or even the NAWCQ.
No.
No pendulums in sight. It's just going to be a straight face-off to see who was right.
Yeah.
Which deck was
Absolutely.
the correct choice?
Yeah, I know that our statistics are telling us that
Gouki is favored.
Gouki is favored, but that's not
I wouldn't-
anyone.
I wouldn't be putting all of my coins on that, and considering we've got to the finals, like, yeah, there's a slight percentage chance
Yeah.
that it's going to go Luke's way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we are very much prepared for the finals here. We just need to allow the players a few more minutes to compose themselves. But in just a few minutes, we're going to be back for the absolute pinnacle of the European Championships to find out who is next to take that crown. We'll see you guys in a few minutes.